All right. So what we're doing today is just going through and doing a little bit of design work. It's not going to be super pretty on there because there has to be some secrecy about the works, a little bit, tiny bit. But you might catch some glimpses of the new stuff that's coming out pretty soon here. So let's see. I think this new design is kind of one of the stars of the show here, really. Is Nike of Samothrace, for those of you who are art history folks. But yeah, it's a pretty cool one. Very, very cool. The artist, Nike Meyer, is an atelier trained painter, and all of these are original paintings by her. They're just incredibly detailed. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Artfit really hasn't dipped into classicism too much in the past, and so this is a good first kind of foray into that, I think. It's also, if you're curious, if anybody's curious about using Printify to create pieces like this, this is a good place to learn and maybe ask some questions or something. Who do I use for printing? I use Printify. I'm not particularly happy with them, I have to say, disclaimer. But they are useful. I mean, in terms of like actual for the t-shirts and stuff, it's kind of it's sourced from a bunch of different places. Dream Junction is okay. Dry Fulfillment is fine. I think the best brand I ever worked with, even though they were a little more expensive, was a hoodie company called Lane 7, and they're really good. The quality on all of their stuff is really good, but it's just expensive. That's really what it comes down to. Is it's just expensive to use. To the reality where like a normal hoodie will take $15 to $20 to produce, and then you know a Lane 7 hoodie will be like 30 or something like that. It's not even close, honestly. It's really pretty kind of a shame that they're so expensive, so prohibitively expensive. And as you know, inflation has come in, that's made it even worse as well. So this is the mugs that we design. This is some of my favorite stuff here to work with, really, um, because they're just it's like a cool medium, and you can kind of mimic a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I mean, we got to put the Nike Samothrace on a mug, right? I mean, that's just the best thing ever, pretty much. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Okay, so we got to size that down a little bit. Look at that DPI, over 1,000 DPI. That's just ridiculous. That's a lot of DPI. So some of these things. So Printify is interesting in that the layout stuff is generally pretty good. And there's certain tools that are helpful in designing and stuff like that, but a lot of it is kind of just eyeballing it, which is kind of tough. So you have to like go through here and then check it out on the previews and make sure it's okay. And sometimes I'll go in and order, yeah, and see, look at that, around the edge it glitches a little bit, where it's kind of like jagged. Maybe that's because it's especially high DPI, but I'm not sure. Let's see here. What should go on there? We could do a triptych of barred pieces, actually. That would be pretty interesting. That does sound pretty cool. So, if you're not familiar with atelier style artists, I certainly wasn't at the beginning of this conversation with Nike, but they do a series of drawings called barg drawings to essentially build up the skill set that you need to be, a trained classical painter, essentially. And so they work from these, these prints of specific classic pieces, right? So like here we have Amazon du Vatican, Barg, the Ariadne, and then there's a few other. There's like the Leg of Germanicus. There's the Dying Gaul. If you're an art history person, very, classical themed things, very impressive themed things. Yeah, I'm not sure about the scaling with that one. I'd like to do the triptych, but maybe that works. Well, I don't know. Let's see about it. The reason I like to do triptychs like this is I call them gallery style pieces, and it gives you a sense of like, say you're sitting with your morning coffee, right? And you're, say you're enjoying your coffee or whatever. You can just kind of, look around a little bit. You can enjoy each of them, and it's a very meditative process. And I found that in this medium of clothing and stuff like that, it's one of the few ways where you can kind of mimic that feeling of seeing art in a gallery, but in sort of a very much more accessible context, right? So you can still, you can appreciate the juxtaposition of it, but it's a little different, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's very cool. The mugs are kind of one of the things that I really have pushed for the entire time that I've been doing these designs. So we'll call that Nike Meyer gallery style Brock drawings. Brock drawings mug, 15 ounces. Nice. Perfect. All right. And we'll just sort of put that one in the bank for later. A lot of these things get touched up over time, as you go back and you do more designs and things like that. It's a pretty simple process. You can kind of knock out a lot of these things at once. But I don't know. I like to take time and really think about what's going on each of them and all of the things. And you'll notice that when I go and do this, I copy them. And the reason I do that is because that saves the price markings and also the fulfillment on it, right? So it's not like I'm going through every single time and going to the catalog and picking out the specific hoodie or t-shirt or whatever. This way it matches that, so you don't have different production costs whenever you go to make new things. So here, yeah, again, that Nike Samothrace race. Just such an incredible piece, really. I mean, just look at that. The detail here is just phenomenal, really. I mean, look at the drapery folds. I remember my professor in college would always talk about the drapery. He said, "Oh, look at the drapery! Look at the drapery!" And I mean, it's one of those things where if you're looking at like a Renaissance master, like this is the thing that we would praise them for above all else, right? Is being able to make that. I mean, some artists talk about photorealism nowadays, and that's cool. That's definitely interesting, but there's something about creating a convincing fictional space that really, to me at least, is unparalleled. So, there you go. There's my musings on that. So let's put something else on here. What are we going to do? You know what? Let's take a look at, what about a horse head? People love a horse head, don't they? I think people love a horse head. Let's see, it's loading up. One of the things about Printify is that you have to like load all of your designs into the thing. Okay, so that's a little interesting. I'll take that off. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, you could put it up a little bit more. You could center it. Maybe it's the background color. Maybe that's the issue here. It's a little goofy, but I like it, I like it. So I wonder what would happen if we were to put it on, say, like a... What about a white? What does that look like? The preview is nice because it shows you the actual color of the shirt. Little Artfit logo on there in the back. Could use some work. I'll put that one in the bank. We'll save that for later. we'll just keep that one going for later. And then we'll call that Nike Meyer horse head t-shirt. And we'll keep it moving. The wonderful thing about this process is just not overthinking it. Sometimes there's things that require a little bit more, but sometimes you just have to kind of go for it. So here it'll say, I don't know if you can read that text. You probably can't read that text actually because the screen's pretty bright, but it says 1 of 18 out of stock on that one. So what you can do here is you can go and say, see out of stock variants. You say, okay, it's one of the out of stock variants is the color sand in the size 2XL. Alternate providers are Underground Threads, Awkward Styles, Swift Pod, and a couple of others. So one of the things that Printify does, which is kind of cool, is it will automatically route your pieces if they're, say somebody buys a 2XL sand, which is out from dry fulfillment in this particular Gildan 5000 model, right? You can set it so that Printify automatically routes that order through a different provider, and they'll like pretty much match the price, which is pretty cool. It's an interesting feature and definitely something I like to see. It's one of those things that it's just good to know that there's backups, right? And this is one of the things that was happening with the Ashley Lauren collection. Some of the folks who are particularly hawk-eyed went in and were like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff that's out of stock with the blue hoodie or whatever, because the world's on fire and things are kind of crazy, so sometimes you just can't get certain colors or whatever, but there's other interesting ones that are usually in stock, and it's always worth checking what's in stock and who the alternate providers are. So let's see, again we're going back to that copy of the Nike. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, man, that's a little suspicious there, bud. It's a little suspicious. Alright, so let's see here. Let's put the Belvedere torso on there. Let's see how that looks. Oh, it's a little big even. That's great, so we can scale it down. That's great. Put it up a little bit. So what are we looking at? About 75% scale. Okay, at 156 DPI. So it switches over to being high DPI, or high resolution, I should say, at 200 DPI. And it's tricky because that changes a lot depending on, whatever the pieces are that you're working with, and sort of what the size is, right? So like we saw on the mug, there was the Nike of Samuel Thrace was at like over 1,000 DPI, right? That's crazy. That's super high, super high resolution. And again, the Belvedere torso was in that same context over that DPI. I don't know. I think I see maybe Carly's in here or something. She knows way more about design and stuff than I do. Every artist I work with knows way more about design and stuff than I do. I just set up the website and sell the stuff and tell fun art history facts. That's my job. I love it. That art fit on the back. Pretty good. So we swapped recently to doing stuff on the front of everything. I think I'm going to do, in the future, I'm going to do everything on the front except for hoodies. And the reason that I want to do everything on the front except for hoodies is because when we look at the natural framing of this piece, right, on the front of a body, and this is quite large, but and this is kind of why I like the back of the body as well for a natural framing. So here we can scoot this up a little bit so we can talk about this for a second. But if we really zoom it in, right, and look at the natural framing of that, you can notice, and maybe this is just the way that I think about this, but you can kind of notice that there are spaces, pathways, if you will, on things like clothing and like mugs and everything like that, that are sort of almost like a natural space where you could hang a piece of art, right? And I that's what I'm trying to work towards with ArtFit, is I try to create these sort of natural spaces where art can hang and people can feel good about it. Seems solid, yeah. And again, there it glitches a little bit on the side, but that's okay. It doesn't actually do that. It just looks that way right here. So we'll call that one good. And we'll put that one in the bank. And we'll call that Nike Meyer Belvedere Torso. This was such a fun thing to get these images from Nike last week, I think it was. Well, maybe not last week, but pretty recently. Because these are all things that I studied. These are images that I studied very extensively as an art historian who kind of specialized in the medieval era. Renaissance, I know, is not medieval era, but these are things that I did have to look at, right? And they're so important historically that I did have to look at, right? And they're so important historically. Like when you think about like the Caracci's establishing like the first school, right? This is what they had people do. And in the, what was that, the 1500s, 1600s, I think it was. Am I even thinking of the right person? Caracci? Maybe somebody else knows better than me. But the first, one of the first schools where they had people train in this classical style. This is the stuff that they've been doing. So this is like hundreds of years of continuous tradition in terms of teaching people how to create things. Like we've agreed as humans that the Nike of Samothrace is one of the highest pieces. And it's just cool to see that reproduction at such a high level in such an incredible way. Yeah, it's really, really incredible work. I'm not just into classicism, I should say that as well, but it's definitely one of those areas that is near and dear to my heart. Oh, looks like 8 of 24 out of stock on that Belvedere Torso crew neck. Oh, the forest green and 3X, 4X, 5X, and then the dark hell and that dark heather, L, XL, 3XL, 4XL, 5XL. I don't like that. Let's take a look. I like to have very inclusive sizing for art fit. That's, it's one of those things that from the very beginning was clear. It's very important to have that, I think, if you're going to have something that is intellectually inclusive, it should also be physically inclusive. Let's take a look at indigo blue. Let's see if indigo blue has some more. I know that's not a dark heather replacement, but we got a forest green, we got a black, got an indigo blue. Let's experiment. Let's see if that's in stuff. So what we'll do is we'll hit save product, save as draft, and then that'll pop it up back up to the front of that top of this page. 7 of 24 out of stock. I don't know about that. Small indigo blue. 3XL, 4XL, 5XL. Oh, and then there's no alternate providers for indigo blue at all. But forest green does have alternate providers. That's a tough question. Tough question. That's hard stuff to figure out. What's up? Okay, cool. So, let's take a look. Let's see if we can't figure out a better workaround than that. It's just one of these things where it's like, you could try orange. I don't know if Nike's in here. If Nike's in here and you see something that I'm doing that you absolutely hate, please leave a comment and say, I absolutely hate that. Don't do that to my art. And I won't. I'll fix it. I'll fix it so it's not doing anything weird to your art. Oh my gosh. Previously unsaved changes to this project. No, I'm okay. I think we're experimenting. We don't need to leave all the products out. Ash colored. Well, hey, that's not too bad. That's pretty good. Let's take a look. Now we got orange and ash. People always ask for weird colors at some point after collections are out. Somebody's always like, hey, can I get that in yellow? Can I get that in turquoise? It's like, well, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Let's see. Let's take a look at if this is on stock. I wish that you could see, if anybody has a direct line to Printify, because they hate me at this point. I leave way too many technical requests for them. But if anybody has a direct, 11 of 32. Oh my gosh. It's the orange. But now if we scoot in a little bit closer to get the real information here, we can see that. So we still have the forest green 3XL, 5XL, 4XL, 5XL that are out, but we can get them routed from alternative providers, right? We know that that's just kind of how this works. But we have the ash colors. So we have medium. That's kind of a hard one to have out of stock, especially that's a very popular size. 4XL, 5XL, again, important sizes to have. But we can also get these through routing, right? So it's like, okay, that's all right. And then orange, we have XL, 2X, 3X, 4X, 5X. But again, fully landed through here. Or fully able to be routed through there. So I'm going to say that one's okay for now. If we notice that those things have changed significantly at any point, then maybe we can adjust. All right. Moving on. Stickers. Oh my gosh, of course the stickers. How could I forget the stickers? All right. This is always a fun one to use. Now these ones are going to be interesting, right? Because most of the time when I make stickers, like for example with this, you'll notice that this file, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't see it, but this is a PNG file, right? Which is, it's a file with a transparent background, right? Now, with these pieces in particular, did I get all of these guys? So okay, let's get rid of any duplicates, huh? Belvedere Tarso, Ariadne Bard. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces right there. So you go to New Design. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. We got all of them. So now what we can do, instead of downloading all of the things individually and sticking them on, we can just go into here where it's all the saved designs of the library, right? And this, I have too many designs in there. Way too many. Just probably more than 100 at this point. It's really, yikes. It's a lot. There's a lot of art going on. There's a lot of art going on. All right, so the first sticker we're going to design here is obviously Nike Seamless Race. So the cool thing about this is you don't have to fill up the whole space. Anything left out in that space is just automatically cropped off. Now this is pretty cool, right? This is a very I haven't seen anything I hate yet. Okay, good. Let me know, Nike. Let me know if you do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hopefully it's all right. So here we've got the transparent background stickers, which again, in this case, that's just the thing right immediately around it, right? Has to peel off somehow. If we were to put it on a white background, it would look like this. It would just sort of be a framing of it. It's mixing. There we go. Here, I'll bring it in a little bit closer so that we can see. But so here we go. We got a nice little image there, and that's the 4-inch by 4-inch version. There's 3-inch by 3-inch, 4-inch by 4-inch, and 6 by 6 in a transparent background and a white background. But what I was saying about the PNGs is that these are interesting in that they're all essentially sketches on paper, right? And so when you think about, say, a piece of digital art, it's not going to have an important background. But with this, it is important that the entire background is in there, right? It's very much a part of the piece. It's in the spirit of the piece. And so you have to have it in there. So it creates kind of a different thing. It's much more traditional in that sense, which is something that I haven't worked with a lot recently. Most of what I've had recently has been digital art. And maybe that's a misconception about what ArtFit does. So we'll call that Nike Meyer, Nike Seamless Race stickers. Whoop. I'll spell that correctly. Nike Seamless Race. Yeah, what an awesome piece. Really. Sometimes called the winged victory of Seamless Race. I don't know if there's other art history heads in here, but yeah, the Nike of Seamless Race is pretty incredible. And it's also just funny that these pieces are by Nike Meyer, and what in my mind is kind of like the crown jewel of the collection is also the Nike. I don't know. Maybe that's a fun joke for all you out there. Let's see. So again, we're just copying that sticker so that we keep all the prices, all the other stuff same as we move on and do the next one. So right there, 692 DPI. Pretty good. Let's see. I have a feeling if we make a horse head sticker, there's gonna be somebody out there who's like, yeah, that's right. That's the stuff. You know, why not? You know, life is about having fun. Let's just put out a horse head sticker. You know, that's awesome. That's cool. Is Nike Meyer the next drop? It might be. Her work might be. I mean, there are probably. Let's pull out the secret binder with all the secret schedule stuff in it that I'm not going to show to everybody because it's kind of crazy and I have really bad handwriting. There are 5 people right now, 5 collections that are actively def make a sticker. Okay, cool. I can do that, Deanna. There's 5 people right now who are actively in the works of having their collections made. And so it's kind of a matter of like, well, I don't know. I feel like Nike came in pretty early on. Because there was a period, probably about 2 or 3 months ago, where Artfit kind of like doubled in terms of reception. And like, right, because there's 10 artists that work with Artfit. 2 of those are people who came from TikTok in the last like 6 months. And then there's 5 more, right? So that's like pretty gnarly. Literally like, yeah, like a 50% increase, right? In terms of artists. So, well, more than that actually. Almost near into 100% increase in terms of artists. So it's tough figuring out what is coming next. And also I want to give Ashley's collection time to really, just get his vibe in, right? Like just have it be a positive thing. Yeah. So to answer your question, nerd versus fat, who maybe, quite possibly. In my mind, Nike's is potentially the next collection to drop, but it's a matter of having that conversation with all of the artists that are still in that queue. Nike Meyer, horsehead stickers. Yeah, people are gonna love that. But yeah, like Deanna was saying, gray area. I don't know what the handle says, but it is really well done. It's really, really cool, and just, I don't know. Everybody's stuff is really cool. Nike's is cool, and it's in this very, in this one route, in this one avenue. So let's see. What are we doing next? I figure we got 7 of them. Heck, let's make 7 stickers. Let's just go through the list. How about Legature Manicus next? Now, this is one of the pieces when I saw it on Nike's portfolio that I was like, wow, that is a well drawn leg. I don't know, it's just awesome. It's just like really well. I mean, just here, I'll do the close up so that we can all see the level of detail that has gone into this. Really, I mean, just incredible work. Yeah, I don't know if any of you have gone over and if people other than me like go and look at other people's portfolios pretty regularly and see what kind of work they're making. But I recommend it. Honestly, like if you're an artist and you're trying to get inspired or something, like go look at somebody else's portfolio. Like don't just stop at their TikTok or whatever. Like go and check out their portfolio. See what they're doing. A lot of people use Instagram as sort of a more static place for photos, which I guess makes sense. But I think there's something very special about having your own portfolio space that you fully curate. Now, I thought that I had the Dying Gall in here. I wonder... We're going to look for that one next. I'm not sure if I have it. Oh, wait. We'll go back to my products. So the design process is not terribly hard, but you can see that it would add up to be sort of time-consuming, right? To go through and have to do this. And I've done this for 11 collections now, most of which release between 10 and 20 products, right? It's like 200 products when you think about it, right? On the generous side, I think it's maybe even more than that, because some people have even more products like that. So we have. I thought I had the Dying Gall. Maybe Nike can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I just didn't download it. I'm not going to open up my emails and go through them on a TikTok live, but I will look for that later. So now we're going to take out the Ariadne bust. Again, another incredible piece here. One of the cool things that Nike was telling me about these is that, here, I'll go back and pull up the list of these pieces here. So the leg of Germanicus, the Ariadne Barg, and then Amazon to Vatican, which I get, maybe that's the Diangol? That's not the Diangol that I had in mind when I was thinking about this, the one from Turkey, but maybe there's a different Diangol. Some of these were made as studies for creating the Nike of Samothrace and also the Belvedere torso, right? Because you build up as you're doing these pieces through your studies, through your atelier studies, to create these more complex pieces, as you go on. So you get the skill of like, okay, here's how you do shadows, here's how you do these other things. And this, again, really, I mean, if you haven't looked at Nike's art, go to her portfolio and check out these things. They're nuts. They're so cool. I guess you wouldn't know that from Nike's TikTok, actually, because it's a lot more like, it's just different. It's just a different type of art. But if you're curious about Nike's art like this, and this is your jam, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's just incredibly well done. Really, I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Like, it's just absolutely phenomenal work. The skill that went into this is just exceptional. Just exceptional. Which is not to say that anybody else, I say that about everybody's art. I really am pretty loose with saying that people make exceptional art. I wonder if that's why I do the job that I do. Nike Meyer, Ariadne. I'll just call it Ariadne for now. Wow, nice. So we'll just keep plugging away at those stickers. Now I do have a meeting in not too long, so I will. What medium do you use? They're so detailed. Yeah. Well, I'll let Nike speak about that because I don't. I don't know. I mean, I'll let Nike answer that if she'd like to. If she doesn't want to, I'm happy to answer it too. But Amazon to Vatican. Look at the drapery folds on this. My gosh. Wow. Just, the detail is just incredible. Just incredible. Really. Yeah. Wow. Wow. High resolution too, 445 DPI. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. We'll call this Nike Meyer. What's the name of that again? Let's take a look. Amazon to Vatican. Nice. Amazon to Vatican. Alright, cool. Alright, next one. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stickers out of 7 done. Nice. We're just plugging away. Just plugging away. Alright. So here we go. The Hermes. The Hermes bust. Look at that side profile. Just a really interesting angle. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Maybe, I mean, it might just be in my email, Nike. That's totally possible. But I'll go look. It would be helpful just to resend it probably. That'd be awesome. But, we'll see. I'm not going to open the email and go through it right now, but I'll take a look after I'm done here in probably a few minutes. All right. So that looks good. Hermes. This is cool. this is a really interesting collection. It's a cool departure from what Artfit has typically done, which has been very much like, and then we go Belvedere torso. Artfit, yeah, I mean, Artfit really has not dipped into classicism at all, in the past. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see that. Very cool to just, expand in a bunch of different ways. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of. I think this newest batch of artists is actually really interesting because there's a huge amount of variance between these people, and I think that's kind of just because it was from TikTok, right? And people sourced from all over. Uh, it really changes the sort of the case study of like what you're looking at, if you will. Um, because people have such varied different experiences, and it's just so cool to see that translated into, the art that people make. Belvedere torso, nice. No, I forgot to title it. Whoops. Yeah, this is a fun one, especially for me because I studied this piece and the Nike Samuel Race very very extensively in college, um, and so it's just cool to see that coming back. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then also diagonal. All right. Wow, now we've really made quite a few pieces here, haven't we? All right, we're gonna make one more mug. Yeah, because it's about 12:20, so that's yeah. We'll make one more mug and then maybe we'll wind it down a little bit. All right. So I think what we gotta all right, what we gotta do here, I think, is we gotta have Nike of Samuel Race, right? And then so one of the things I found that you can do is you could change the color of the mug, right? So it's a plain mug, plain white mug, but then you can sort of like switch the background color. But all that does, and look at this because I think it looks kind of bad personally, is it doesn't. It's not like they're like, oh, we'll instead of giving you a white mug, we'll give you a black mug. They're like, no, it's gonna be a white mug, but it's gonna have just a strip of black around it. I don't know. Does that seem gaudy to anybody else? It doesn't seem doesn't seem that good to me. I don't know. I'm gonna switch it back so I don't forget because I will forget otherwise. And then we'll do Belvedere torso. Scale it down a little bit so it's not clipping off the sides. And then we'll just put that one over to the left. Honestly, we can probably expand this one up a little bit. Send it over to the right. These are just. Oh. And then, what should we put in the middle? Heck, we don't even have to put anything in the middle. We can just scoot these over, center them a little bit on the sides. Yeah. I have a very barky dog. Very, very barky dog. He's running around outside having a great time. Alright. Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Maybe we should put some Artfit branding on there. Artfit brand mug. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I wonder. What if we were to like take this and then yeah, we'll not use that one. Let's see here. That also seems gaudy, but it's okay. There's some of the Hannah Moultrie designs you can see there. And these are the other Artfit logos, the little AF. Those were done by Artfit artist Clarice Benz as sort of like a private commission, which is one of the things I like to do sometimes. To have people remake the logo every once in a while, just to keep it sort of updated and cool and fresh, essentially. Actually, I kind of wonder about putting this on a black background. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, kind of classical, But I wonder if the mug would look bad. Well, it never hurts to try, right? Never hurts to try and see what you can do. So what we'll do is we'll take that and make it pretty tiny, and we will rotate it. Transform, rotate. 20. Oh, 25. No, wait a minute. Let's get these angles right. 90 degrees. We could make it kind of long, maybe. Is that terrible? I think that's kind of terrible. Yeah, that's a bad logo. That's not. Well, it's a good logo, but it's a bad iteration of it. You know, I wonder what would happen if we took this, right, and then we just like flung it to the bottom. So a little bit there. You gotta have the branding. You gotta do the branding. It's just important. Now that is, you know, normally the black doesn't look that good. But I think in this context specifically, it could be kind of cool. Maybe here I'll bring it in closer for the review. So we got on one side Nike Samoth Race. Other side Belvedere torso. Centerpiece at the very bottom, Arctic Clothing Co. And our painted logo. And that logo is by Peregrine, another one of the Artfit artists from quite a while back, actually, I guess at this point. But they did really cool, interesting logos for Artfit. One lighter version, one darker version. I kind of alternate them. Recently, I've been leaning a lot more towards the lighter version logo, just because I think that it's just good. Just a nice logo. just a good thing. So I think we're going to title that one. Go in here, we're going to title it Nike Meyer. Nike of Samoth Race. X. Belvedere torso. Now that's not very good for search engine optimization, but it is correct. So that's, you know, sometimes you got to be correct. And we'll set the cover photo to that Nike Samoth Race with the little laptop in the background. Now this is not a photo that I took. This is a stock photo, but this is accurate. This is what it does look like. I do have the mug next to my laptop very often. All right, save draft. Call that good. So let's see what we made today all together. We did we did 2 mugs. Put together all the stickers. We have 1 long sleeve, 2 t-shirts, 3 t-shirts, 2 hoodies. So 1 long sleeve, 2 hoodies, 3 t-shirts. So we probably want to go through and make another long sleeve. At least 1 more long sleeve, probably more. And then maybe another hoodie or 2, because you know winter is coming. Winter will be here before too long. All right, but I think that's 12. Yeah, coming up on 12:30. That's just about all the time we have for today. So thanks for the folks who tuned in. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to be doing a few more of these over the next few days. One featuring Deanna, who has been in the comments, Gray Aria. Another one featuring art by artist Chimakwa Nabawi Stone. He's a very cool guy. And then another one featuring actually these really amazing collages by an artist named Amber Da Silva, who's on here as Storybook Collage. So check Gray Area Art, Chimakwa Nabawi, and Amber Da Silva, Storybook Collage on TikTok for all of those people. I'm not sure exactly what days those are going to be, but probably tomorrow, maybe the next day as well. We'll do some little design sessions. So, yeah, of course, Deanna. Yeah, I'll send an email. Maybe I should do a post about these and get more people to show up. But I really appreciated the nice crowd we had today. So, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. Let's see about that.